Stop measuring your life against a ladder that was never yours to climb. Society is filled with frameworks that dictate status, pushing us to look up or down, but rarely inviting us to look inward. These hierarchies ask us to define ourselves by our proximity to power and the noise of recognition. But there is another way. You do not have to exist above the noise or below it. There is a place outside its reach entirely. This is not about rejecting the world for the sake of rebellion. Instead, it is a fundamental reorientation of the self. When you realize that the game was rigged from the start, you understand that the only winning move is to never sit at the table. This is the path of the woman who has claimed something more valuable than status. She has claimed herself. Stoicism, for her, is a sanctuary for the self-reliant mind, a landscape where you can cultivate inner peace and self-reliance. Here you are encouraged to embrace your true self, beyond the noise, beyond the hierarchy, and beyond society's expectations. A Sigma female does not wait for the world to define her value. She knows that the moment she lets others decide her worth, she gives away her peace. Instead, she chooses another path. Guided by clarity, not arrogance, the Sigma female builds her own internal metric. The ancient Stoics called this the inner citadel, a fortress of judgment that no external event can breach. Public opinion, titles, followers, these are not her measuring sticks. She asks herself only two questions. Am I acting with integrity? Am I spending my time on what is meaningful to me? These are the standards that matter, not the shifting opinions of the crowd. She understands that the scoreboard everyone else is watching is, in truth, empty. What truly counts is the quiet consistency of her own character. The noise of the world becomes just that, noise. It cannot touch her because she has withdrawn her investment from external approval. Her strength is calm and resilient, rooted in her own principles. She is immune to the judgments of others, defining her worth from within. This is the power of the Sigma female, unmoved, unbroken, and truly free. Every day, the world bombards us with noise, opinions, headlines, the curated snapshots of strangers, and the anxieties of the collective. While we cannot control what the world throws at us, we hold absolute authority over what we allow into our minds. This is the discipline of discernment. Most people consume information endlessly, then wonder why they feel depleted. The key difference lies in filtering. Ask yourself, does this serve my growth? Does this align with my purpose? Is this true or simply loud? These questions are not about avoidance, but about exercising sovereignty over your mental space. Treat your attention as the most sacred resource in your possession. Do not open the gates of your mind to every passerby. Be ruthless in filtering out distractions and only let in what nurtures you. By doing so, you protect your energy and focus on what truly matters. Guard the gates of your perception. Choose what lives inside your head. You are not a receptacle for the chaos of the world. Instead, be a careful gardener, pulling out the weeds of distraction before they take root. This is true mental discipline. There is a freedom in obscurity that the celebrated will never know. When no one is watching, freedom exists to experiment, to fail, and to learn without the weight of expectation pressing on the shoulders. The Sigma female does not fear being unseen. She cultivates it. She understands that the root system of a tree grows in darkness, invisible to all, yet it is what allows the tree to withstand the storm. She builds her depth away from the light. She studies what fascinates her, develops skills that have no immediate payoff, and thinks thoughts that no one will validate. This invisible labor is the foundation of everything that follows. When she does eventually step forward, if she chooses to do so, she arrives with a rootedness that cannot be faked. Her competence is not a performance. It is simply the visible tip of a massive hidden structure. The world marvels at the results, but it never sees the years of quiet, unobserved effort that made them possible. One of the most painful human experiences is to be overlooked. The Sigma female has made peace with this, and in doing so, has rendered herself immune to a primary weapon of social control. The threat of being ignored, of not being chosen, of being deemed irrelevant. This fear drives the engine of conformity. It makes people compliant. It makes them chase approval they do not need. She has looked at this fear directly and chosen to starve it. If she is underestimated, she feels no compulsion to correct the record. Let them underestimate. It gives her space to move. If she is excluded, she does not feel the sting of rejection. She views the gathering from a distance and sees it for what it often is, a theater of performance, exhausting and ultimately empty. This indifference is not a wall, it is a liberation. It means she can never be manipulated by the promise of belonging, because she has already found belonging within herself. In a culture that rewards constant articulation, the power of silence has been forgotten. The Sigma female wields it with precision. She does not rush to fill the space with words, does not offer disclaimers for her existence, and does not explain herself into submission. Her silence is not awkwardness. It is a deliberate refusal to perform. When she does speak, it is because she has processed, analyzed, and concluded that her words carry value. This scarcity makes her speech impactful. But more importantly, her silence creates a vacuum that others instinctively feel compelled to fill. She learns more by listening than they will ever reveal by talking. She observes the dynamics, notes the insecurities, and understands the motivations. She holds this knowledge not as a weapon, but as a map. She navigates the social world with a clarity that is unavailable to those who are constantly projecting their own voice into it. Most people enter a room quietly adjusting themselves, hoping to impress, to be seen, or to gain approval. But the Sigma female is different. Her energy is unmistakable, calm, self-assured, and entirely unimpressed by the usual social theater happening around her. She is not interested in performing or proving her worth. Instead, she observes, engages only when it genuinely serves her, and leaves with her sense of self perfectly intact. She does not arrive seeking validation, nor does she leave changed by others' opinions. This rooted presence radiates a quiet confidence that stands in stark contrast to the swirling need for approval that fills most rooms. When the Sigma female enters, the dynamic subtly shifts. Others sense she is not there as a supplicant. She does not seek their approval, and this unsettles the usual order. Instead, people find themselves drawn to her, hoping to earn her respect. It is not manipulation, but a natural response to her calm, unwavering energy. Her lack of need becomes her authority. In a world obsessed with validation, the Sigma female's unimpressed energy becomes a reference point. Her calm steadiness inspires others to seek their own grounding. The Sigma female understands a powerful truth. Scarcity creates value. Unlike those who chase constant attention, she knows that being always available dilutes her worth. In a world overflowing with noise and distraction, she chooses to stand apart, making her presence a rare and meaningful experience. She does not say yes to every invitation, request, or demand on her time. Her availability is never taken for granted. This is not about arrogance, but about protecting her rich inner life. By being selective, she ensures her energy is reserved for people and projects that truly matter. Those seeking superficial validation or easy access simply move on, leaving only the genuine and the deserving. The Sigma female's approach is rooted in quality over quantity. She knows that her time and attention are privileges, not commodities. By limiting her presence, she guarantees that when she does show up, she is fully invested. This commitment creates trust and respect among those who value her presence. Her rarity becomes magnetic. People quickly realize that her involvement is never casual. When she commits, it means something. In a world of constant availability, her selective presence amplifies her impact, making every interaction count. There is a hidden cost to visibility that is almost never discussed. The moment a person becomes known, they become a target. Time is no longer their own. Words are parsed for hidden meaning. Mistakes are cataloged and often celebrated. The Sigma female has looked at this transaction and, for now, chosen not to make the trade. She sees the exhaustion in the eyes of those who are constantly performing. She watches them manage their image, curate their narrative, and defend their choices to an audience that does not genuinely care. She knows, with a certainty that requires no proof, that the price is too high. She would rather have the freedom to be wrong in private than the obligation to be perfect in public. She would rather have the depth that comes from obscurity than the shallowness that often accompanies fame. This is not fear of the spotlight. It is a clear-eyed assessment of its cost. At the heart of the Stoic tradition lies a single transformative insight. Some things are up to the individual, and some things are not. The Sigma female lives inside this distinction with absolute precision. She does not waste energy on what is outside her control. The opinions of others, the outcomes of her efforts, the actions of those around her, or the inevitable changes of fortune. She pours her focus entirely into what is within her power, her judgments, her choices, her responses, and her character. This is not resignation. It is the most strategic allocation of energy possible. While others exhaust themselves trying to bend the world to their will, she is calmly, steadily, perfecting the only thing she will ever truly own: herself. And in this seemingly narrow focus, she discovers a power that those who chase external control will never find. By mastering what is within, she becomes capable of handling whatever comes from without. The Sigma female does not live in naive optimism, hoping that nothing will go wrong. She prepares. The Stoics called this praemeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. She regularly, deliberately, contemplates the loss of the things she values. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of resilience. She imagines health failing, circumstances changing, loved ones departing, and reputation dissolving. She asks herself, would I still be me? Would my core remain intact? This exercise strips away the illusion that peace depends on external conditions. She learns to hold blessings lightly, grateful for them today, prepared to release them tomorrow. When change comes, and it always does, she is not shocked, not devastated, and not victimized. She has already rehearsed this moment. She has already made peace with impermanence. She moves through loss with a dignity that confounds those who thought stability was built on sand. The modern world is engineered for comfort. It promises ease, convenience, and the removal of all friction. In doing so, it creates a generation that is fragile, unable to withstand the slightest pressure. The Sigma female inoculates herself against this fragility through the practice of voluntary discomfort. She periodically chooses what is hard. She wakes early when sleep is an option. She fasts when food is available. She endures the cold when she could seek warmth. She takes on challenges that induce fear. These practices are not about self-punishment. They are about building evidence. With each act of chosen difficulty, she proves to herself that she is capable of more than she previously thought. She builds a quiet confidence that is not based on affirmation, but on experience. When involuntary hardship arrives, she meets it not as a stranger, but as an opponent she has already faced in training. Her comfort zone expands until it encompasses the very concept of discomfort. She becomes adaptable, resilient, and unbreakable. Imagine soaring above your own life, seeing everything from a vast distance. This is the Stoic exercise known as the view from above, a tool for gaining perspective and clarity. By picturing herself as a single point in the immense sweep of time and space, the Sigma female learns to see her daily worries as tiny and fleeting. Anger, envy, and frustration shrink when viewed from this height. Instead of being consumed by momentary drama, she recognizes how brief life truly is and how little most conflicts will matter in 100 years. When challenges arise, the Sigma female practices this mental zooming out. She asks herself, what truly matters? What is essential? She understands that the opinions and judgments of others, who will one day be dust, are not worth sacrificing her peace. This is not about dismissing life, but about using perspective as the ultimate prioritization tool. With this exercise, she burns away the trivial, letting go of what does not serve her. What remains is clarity and focus. Ultimately, the Sigma female is anchored in what is real, living with integrity and holding on to what truly endures. The Sigma female is defined not by the number of people in her life, but by the quality of her connections. She understands that the people she surrounds herself with help shape her identity, her energy, and her outlook on life. Her selectiveness is not rooted in arrogance, but in wisdom. She has experienced the subtle drain of negativity, the weight of shallow interactions, and the distraction of drama. Rather than allow herself to be pulled away from her center, she quietly withdraws from those who deplete her. She seeks out individuals who challenge her, inspire her, and stand firm in their own sense of self, never needing to borrow energy from others. For the Sigma female, it is about quality over quantity and depth over breadth. She curates her circle with intention, choosing relationships that replenish her spirit instead of exhausting it. This approach is not about loneliness, but about living deliberately, recognizing that her time and attention are precious and finite resources. Ultimately, the company she keeps is a reflection of her values and self-respect. By choosing wisely, she creates a life that is both fulfilling and true to who she is. The Sigma female has disentangled her effort from the need for external reward. She works because the work itself is meaningful. She creates because creation is the expression of her nature. She solves problems because she values competence. The outcome, the paycheck, and the recognition are secondary. They may come and they will be accepted with gratitude, but they are not the fuel. This detachment from outcome is a superpower. It means she cannot be discouraged by a lack of immediate results. It means she will persist in pursuits that others abandon because the reward is too distant. It means her motivation is internal and therefore inexhaustible. While others are burning out from chasing the next external validation, she is simply continuing steady and consistent, building something that matters to her. In the end, it is this consistency and this refusal to be governed by external metrics that produce results so undeniable that the world has no choice but to notice. She will not leave a legacy in the traditional sense. There will likely be no buildings with her name, no articles chronicling her rise, and no award ceremonies in her honor. But her influence will move through the world in ways that are perhaps more profound. It will live in the people she taught, not through formal mentorship, but through the example of her integrity. It will live in the systems she built, the problems she solved, and the standards she quietly upheld. It will live in the memory of those who encountered her and were changed, who asked themselves what she would do and found themselves making better choices because of it. This is the legacy of the Sigma female, not a monument to her ego, but a quiet elevation of the world around her, achieved simply by the discipline of being fully herself. She does not need to be remembered. She has already made a mark on everyone who is paying attention. At the end of all the striving, all the noise, and all the desperate grasping for significance, what remains? The Sigma female already knows. What remains is the quality of her own consciousness, the peace cultivated when no one was watching, the integrity maintained when compromise would have been easier, the self-respect that required no audience. This is the final freedom. To live a life that requires no justification, no explanation, and no defense. To stand before her own reflection and recognize a person who has been true to her own code. The world will continue its frantic performance. Let it. Something better has been found. The self has been found. This is the quiet culmination of the journey here at Stoicism for her. The path does not end. It merely deepens. If these truths resonate, the invitation to stay and reflect remains open. The only approval ever required is that which comes from within. Go forth in silence and in strength. Permission is no longer required. This is a permanent departure from the collective noise. The world's traps only catch those looking outward, but the Sigma female has found her direction. Stoicism, for her, provides the architecture for a life built on bedrock. No applause is needed. The satisfaction is the walk itself. This silence is reclaimed territory. If these truths align with the inner code, subscribe to return when the mind requires sharpening. Give the world no performance. Step back into the day in command. The crown is the governance of the mind. Remain resolute,